Hi there, it's Laura here from iHeartPlanners, and today I'm going to share some game-changing tips for your iPhone. In this lesson, I'm going to be sharing with you some game-changing tips for your iPhone. Now, some of these will be basic and others of them might be new to you. I will be using today my iPhone 10. These tips that I'm sharing should work on any version of iPhone. I'll point out a couple places where if you have an older iPhone, there are some slight differences, and of course they do update their operating system from time to time, but I think a lot of these things will probably still be able to do on any iPhone into the future. And if you have an Android and you're watching this, let me know if you're interested in me doing one of these videos for Android. If we get enough requests, we'll go ahead and create a video like this for Android. So let's go ahead and dive in. The first tip I have for you is, I don't know if you knew you could do this, but I have a lot of apps on my phone. Some of these little folders are several screens deep, and it can be a lot to scroll through and find an app. All you have to do to find an app is pull down and start searching. So for example, if I wanted to listen to an audiobook, I just start typing it in and I can navigate right to that app. So it doesn't really matter how my apps are organized on my home screen. It's also great if you've chosen to organize your apps by color and you're worried if you're going to be able to find them. That's all you need to do. And on an older iPhone, you can swipe up. Anytime I say swipe down, go ahead and swipe up, and that brings up the controls. Next, as you may know, if you swipe down from the right on this phone or an older phone, you might swipe up from the bottom. It'll bring up your little control center of like quick controls. I use this all the time for all sorts of things that I want to access quickly. And one of the things that I didn't know for the longest time is you can actually customize what controls show up here. So you can take off the ones you don't need and you can add some that you like. To do that, it's very simple. You just go to Settings, and then you will go to Control Center, and then go to Customize Controls, and here is all of your options. So if I didn't want one of these, I would just click that little red circle and it will remove it. And then if I want one of these down here, all I have to do is tap on the plus sign and it will add it to my controls. So that's a super handy thing to be able to customize. Next, I think this is one of my very favorite tips that is going to save you so much time, and this is something that I'm not sure everyone knows about. So the phones have this built-in feature where text will autocorrect for you, and you may already know that and use that. If you type in HTE, it'll change it to duh or something like that. But did you know you can customize that? So the obvious application for that is that if you misspell a word in the same way all the time, you can just set up an autocorrect and it'll correct you. But there's something else you can do that's super cool, and that is you can basically make little shortcuts for things you type all the time. So your email address, you can type in 2 or 3 letters and it will populate the entire address. Now let me show you how to do it. Go to Settings, then you'll go to General, then you'll go to Keyboard, and from there you'll tap Text Replacement. You'll see I have a few in here. So for example, if your email address is jane@gmail.com, you could just set it up to where whenever you type j.g, it'll put in the entire thing. This is especially helpful if you have a longer email address. So let's say that I wanted a long email address. My email address is janesmith@gmail.com. I can change it that anytime I type j.s, it will replace that text. It's that easy. And I want to point out here, one thing to keep in mind is the abbreviation you use. You want to make sure that it's not something that you would typically type otherwise, because otherwise it's going to be autocorrecting text that you don't want. So if, for example, your email address is he something@gmail.com, you wouldn't want to just have HE autocorrect, because every time you type the word he, it's going to autocorrect. That's going to get really annoying. So make sure it's something that you don't use often, but imagine how much time this is going to save you, because you're constantly putting in your email address when you're buying things, signing up for accounts, any kind of phrase that you use all the time. Do something like this. And I'm just going to show you here how this works. So I'm just going to create a new note, and I'm going to type in j.g, and right there it just changed the text for me. So most of you probably already know that you can edit the apps on your home screen. So you can change the order of them. You can take one from one screen to the next if you would like. You can group them however you would like and customize the name that shows up right there. But what a lot of you may not know or have thought about is that you can actually customize these icons at the bottom. The phone icon must stay, but the other three you can change. So say one of the defaults you never use, and I think I've already changed these from the defaults, but say I never use Chrome and I'm like, that's not my frequently used, I'll slide it out. And if I use Instagram all the time, I will just slide it back down and click done, and that's all there is to it. So I highly recommend that you customize those apps to the ones that you use all the time so they're easily accessible. One thing about organizing your apps that's important to realize is all your screens don't have to be full. So let's say that I was trying to cut down on my use of social media and I didn't want to use Instagram as frequently. I could put it here on the last screen and maybe think twice before I used it. So that's a trick that a lot of people use. Or I could have only a few apps per screen. You can use as many screens as you would like to organize your apps. One of the features of the iPhone that I use most frequently is screenshotting. So say I'm watching an Instagram story, or I'm browsing the web or looking on Facebook, and somebody screenshot or shares a picture of a book that I want to read or something like that, and I want to remember it for later, I screenshot it. So in order to screenshot, you press the power and the volume up button at the same time. It takes a screenshot and it's automatically going to save it to my photos folder. And then if I tap on it right there, I can make edits on it. So say I wanted to mark it up and send it to somebody else, I could do that here and just add whatever arrows, circles, anything that I wanted. And from there, I could choose to AirDrop it, send it in messages, or just click done, and it's going to save it to folder my photos, or I could choose to save it to my files. Next, you can also record your screen. That means not a still screenshot, but instead it will record your entire screen, whatever is happening on the screen. To do that, you just swipe down from the control center and you click this little record button. I won't click it now because this means my screen is actually recording, but that's how simple and easy it is to record your screen. If it is not showing up, you're gonna wanna go to settings, and you're gonna want to make sure that you have it showing up in your control center here under customized controls, and you would add it from this more controls. You would just click the green plus, and that'll make sure that it is added to your control center. So that is how easy it is to record your screen. Next, if you're not already familiar with AirDrop, I want to point it out to you. So if you have someone else with an iPhone, this is the screenshot that I just took in my photos. I'm just going to click this, I'm going to say AirDrop, and it can send it instantly to whoever else is here. So my other devices, other people, other phones. It's one of the quickest ways to send files, and it gives you that little ding sound as you send it. And one more trick that you may or may not already know, I'm going to go to my notes app here, and let's say that I have an email address and I want to copy and paste it. You can totally copy and paste on your phone. So in order to do that, you press on the text and it automatically highlighted it for me. And I could adjust what portion is highlighted if I wanted to by grabbing those and dragging to only select a portion. And then my options are to cut, copy, paste. I can bold, italics, underline, so that's how you format text. So those are my options. And I can also do these other items as well. So I've started a new note here and I want to paste that in. So I'm just going to tap and hold, and it's going to bring up this little menu. and I'm going to click paste, and there it is. So you can easily cut and paste on your iPhone. So I hope these tips have helped you, and I'd love to know in the comments if you have any game-changing iPhone tips, or if you have an Android and you have some game-changing tips for your Android. I would love to hear them, and don't forget, if you're interested in organizing your entire digital life, click the link below to check out that course.